Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, November 3rd, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? First card flying out of the deck, Three of Pentacles in its reversal. My friends, sometimes we have to take something down so that we can rebuild it anew. We've been seeing that this active deconstruction has been coming through a lot over the last few days. The eclipses have a tendency of feeling very explosive. I will also point out the eclipses typically do not bring new experiences in, more they amplify the circumstances and situations to a point that they need to be addressed. So if something is going positively, there could be a lot of breakthroughs. If something is going negatively, there could be a lot of upsets. What we're really seeing right now is there's a feeling that we are seeing and recognizing, and we like to see this because, as I described, what did the feminine energy specifically go through yesterday? We almost saw that there was that feeling of emotional outpouring, potentially even feeling like you couldn't even articulate what you were effectively feeling. That was almost that purging process, the emotional purging process that was coming through, allowing for that high priestess energy to come through, because this is almost allowing for that clean slate, if you will. Even for the energies in partnership right now, there could be this feeling of fresh start. This is going to feel a bit like a Friday that feels like a Monday in a certain way. We're almost seeing here, given the fact that yesterday was so overwhelming from a spiritual perspective, especially for the feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. However, and I think that one of the things that's going to be very important during this is your own perception on things, because when we find ourselves in this foundational moment, it can be a moment where you're looking at things and you're asking yourself, are things falling apart or are they coming together? That's all up to how you are perceiving it. So a lot of work today is going to have to be spent in terms of really focusing on what you are trying to manifest, because some of it might be feeling a little bit trickier today. Even for the energy of partnership at this moment, yesterday may felt like a lot. There could almost be a moment right now in partnership that's almost saying like, today is a new day, let's just start again. But again, the reason that the divine partnerships work so well is because you recognize that you give each other this sense of grace, having a little bit of this easement, recognizing that every day gives you a new opportunity to have that new start, is what is so empowering about the partnership itself. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is trying to come into partnership, this could actually feel like a moment that is coming through as a positive, because while we saw that masculine and feminine yesterday that were trying to move into partnership may have been feeling that trepidation of coming together because of the feminine being in such a place or space of emotional overwhelm, masculine almost taking a bit of a wait and see approach to see how the feminine energy was reacting and navigating some of the situations and circumstances that the masculine has put forth to them. That is the articulation point that is now allowing for some of this fresh start energy. For some of the feminine energy, yesterday may have felt like a moment of grace that you were giving yourself to feel some of the frustration about the circumstances at play right now. We have identified that for some of the feminine energy coming into partnership at this time, there is a frustration point about not necessarily, it's not the question about whether you're getting what you effectively desire. It's more about the way that you're receiving it. It's not a fairy tale scenario. It doesn't feel like a storybook. It feels more like something that almost feels like it was having to be a bit like wrung out of someone. And that was the grief that we effectively saw that some of the feminine energy was navigating, whether they could kind of let those circumstances or conditions go to be able to have what is almost feeling like a fresh start. Now, for the energies right now that are continuing to move forward in the divine union process, this is effectively what the feminine energy is recognizing must be done in order to navigate forward. It's almost the feminine energy having that point, that high priestess moment that was coming through yesterday. And I even articulated and said to a lot of the feminine energy yesterday that if you were feeling a point of emotional overwhelm, to allow yourself to experience it, to inhabit it internally, make sure that what you were vocalizing and articulating was actually what you felt, what you intended, as opposed to what you were feeling in the moment, because this is almost that moment that we are seeing that is allowing for a space or place of the feminine effectively saying, I am ready to have a new start. And that's how the feminine energy is looking at this, because there's something again about the feminine energy using the higher logic, recognizing that if the masculine energy opened up in this way, that in itself was the masculine energy trying to affirm to the feminine that this is feeling like a new start for them as well. For masculine and feminine energy that you're seeing this, there could be a lot of conversation right now about the masculine and feminine having to effectively say, we're not going to dwell on the past. We're not going to dwell on the past. We're just going to look at where we are now and see how we can build back better. Now, I will also say that this could indicate that for some of the energy yesterday, specifically the feminine, this may have been feeling like a bridge too far, that there's something that the masculine energy may have revealed to you that may have been feeling too much, like it is too overwhelming, that letting go of the circumstances and situations at play that this partnership was effectively demanding was not necessarily a space or place that you could do so. We may have even seen a lot of feminine energy making the choice to move back into separation yesterday, effectively saying that something about the circumstances was already too muddy or messy and not creating the possibility of the fresh start in the partnership itself. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is also a very positive sign for us to see today, because again, what have we been seeing that the feminine has been doing in the separation process that is now feeling like a completion process? The feminine was almost giving themselves some time and space to grieve internally yesterday, but that grieving may have felt overwhelming because it is not a grieving of longing so much as it is a grieving of release. It is a process of letting go. The feminine was almost recognizing that they were doing that and having almost a point of reconsideration in terms of looking at things and validating to themselves that they felt like they had done everything that they possibly could do. This is why the feminine energy is now ready to move forward into new journeys, because this is a feminine that's effectively saying this is the fresh start that they were seeking. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is effectively the decision point that we are seeing was being reached yesterday, because for a lot of the masculine energy, it may have felt very heavy energy right now and yesterday for the masculine energy and separation, because we felt, or we almost saw, that it was something that felt like you had kind of reached some sort of dead end in terms of where you found yourself. Why were we seeing that right now for masculine energy and separation? Because there was a moment that we were identifying for the masculine that was feeling very emotionally triggering and difficult, because this is speaking about a masculine that, as we identified, something about their immediate social situation, something about their immediate sphere of influence, something about the world that they've created around themselves right now is effectively preventing them from being able to move towards their heart's desire. Masculine was effectively in a space or place of having to face how they were effectively feeling about their own life due to the fact that there was some feeling of dissatisfaction as it relates to being able to go back towards an energy. This was either coming through as the masculine feeling like they are effectively involved in circumstances and situations right now in separation that their heart isn't necessarily in them. Hence some of that longing back towards the past energy, almost a point of comparison, because masculine is still connected to some of that past energy. While as the other part of the masculine collective right now is effectively looking and identifying a situation or circumstance, wanting to move back towards a feminine energy, but also articulating and realizing how much work, how much healing is going to effectively be necessary in order to even try to rebuild that bridge again. This is either the masculine energy that is effectively validating that in either situation, some changes need to be made in their immediate life, because what is happening is the connection itself is amplifying to the masculine energy in separation what they need to change in their own life to try to navigate the feeling of dissatisfaction or frustration they're feeling, in terms of it feeling more like a blockage as a point instead of a point going forward. So this could be feeling like a lot of the shedding process right now for masculine energy. Again, a bit of a restart. This could be masculine energy even moving away or shutting down things that they feel are not necessarily leading anywhere because of this desire to want to rebuild better. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is Judgment in its reversal. We like to see this right now. This is beautiful because what we are identifying right now is for the energies, all of the energies right now, there is a point of recognizing the value and importance of being able to make different choices. Masculine and feminine energy that is in divine union and partnership. This is the gift. This is the unending gift of the partnership and union. It is not necessarily the fact that there aren't going to be points of reconsideration. It is being in a dynamic, being in a framework that allows for recalibration. It allows for cultivation. The partnership itself is almost its own organic spiritual entity. So this is almost, we are seeing the unilateral movement of energy that is in dynamic partnership, in divine union, looking at things and saying, it's okay if we have to rebuild things because we are doing it together. It is reconsideration points. It is readjustments that are happening together that is amplifying the ability of the partnership to adapt, to change, to grow. The partnership is its own fluid object. Now, i.e., two energies on the same karmic journey. Masculine and feminine that is trying to come into divine union right now. This is actually why this is learning the process of being in divine union together. Because what are we seeing? This is a bit of that light bulb moment coming on. The engine is starting up. Because what we're effectively seeing right now for the energy trying to come into divine union or divine partnership, it is that point of observation that says that there is an adaptability in the partnership, that the partnership can be malleable, it can change, it can take reconsideration points. And this is the moment that we are seeing that masculine energy is effectively utilizing this fresh start. This is feminine energy believing the masculine's own intentionality and saying, this is fresh start. I will make different choices going forward. How is the feminine energy getting assurance from that? Because masculine energy is taking accountability on what needs to be corrected. Feminine energy is simultaneously doing the same for masculine energy in terms of being able to let go of the past. These are two energies that are showing the ability to adapt for the sake of the partnership, i.e., moving very similarly. Did you notice these paths are the same now? The energy is aligning to coming into divine union because it's showing this ability to adapt and grow and change. Masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation. What we are effectively seeing right now is for the feminine energy that is in separation. This is that moment, and it's almost going to feel like a bit of a rebirth. It's coming almost like this restart energy because it is effectively the feminine energy allowing themselves a new beginning. But it also is requiring the feminine to make different decisions going forward. It's a reconsideration point. What we effectively identified is the way the feminine energy is able to clear this karmic cycle right now is from a point of effectively looking at something. And again, what did the feminine energy do to allow themselves this new start? It was that revisitation of something, looking at something a second time, effectively saying to themselves, I see everything that I did. I validate everything that I did. There isn't anything I feel I could have done differently or adapted or changed. This is the feminine energy having gone through that process of reaffirmation to the self in terms of what they could have done. Feeling that second affirmation is what is allowing them now to be able to move forward on their journey. Masculine energy right now, in separation, this is going to feel a little bit different because this is not necessarily the masculine energy releasing a karmic cycle by doing this right now. This is a masculine energy that is going through the same process. We've seen the masculine looking back to the past as well. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now have been going through a point of reflection, but It is a fun house mirror. They're having different experiences because while the feminine energy is reaffirming their choices by looking at the past so that they can cleanse that and move forward on new journeys, masculine is utilizing the reconsideration point as a point of personal progress, of recognizing what they would change, what they would do differently, because we saw that there's an object of the desire in the past, something they feel that they accidentally left behind that they're trying to correct for, and they're affirming to themselves that they will make the changes necessary, coming into a point of personal progress, personal growth to allow for new beginnings, either going back towards a karmic connection to heal it or by reaffirming to themselves how they can change it to be able to have better adaptability, better progress going forward. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Knight, Page of Cups in its reversal. Everybody's getting a little bit more serious today. Everybody is getting more serious. Now, this is not surprising. We saw the feminine energy in this modality yesterday. Feminine energy is continuing to stay in this modality. I even identified yesterday, we saw potentially a lot of feminine energy if in partnership, trying to push away on anything that they feel isn't necessarily moving them into alignment with what it is that they're seeking right now. This is a feminine energy that's very much on a bit of a spiritual journey, even if they're in partnership right now. The partnership is allowing a framework of the feminine really trying to focus on utilizing their higher logic, their higher path, their higher plan work. It's almost the feminine energy just going into higher path work right now if they're in divine union and partnership. It's almost leading to a space or place right now where the feminine's biggest anxiety is that it doesn't have any feeling or desire right now to be in anything that feels like it isn't moving with intention. This is almost potentially, again, feminine energy pushing away from any kind of plans or circumstances or situations, even in partnership at this moment, potentially even saying that there is a point. Remember that overwhelm of feeling like they are too busy to be able to move in any modality that isn't very focused on the task at hand. This is more of that vibration right now. And this is the only thing we're seeing is potentially causing a bit of a problem right now for the energy that is in partnership. Because one of the things that we're effectively seeing right now is masculine energy may be feeling that there's been a lot of points of concession that they need to give to the feminine to be able to provide for this space right now. But what did we see the masculine was feeling some frustration for right now? Masculine is also in this point, but this is potentially feeling in partnership right now, like masculine is looking for a little bit of easement. Masculine is looking for some spaces and places where they may be able to just relax and enjoy themselves. This is the only problem that we're probably seeing right now, because remember how I said that feminine energy may have been trying to decline plans or even change plans right now because of the vibration they were in yesterday. This could almost articulate a masculine being like, are you still feeling that way today? Are you still feeling that way today? And almost trying to revalidate the fact that the feminine energy is allowed to have some moments or point of enjoyment. It doesn't all have to be work. This is the only problem that we're seeing in partnership right now. Is almost like the feminine being like, I don't have time to do anything but get to the task at hand. And the masculine being like, well, I'm with you too, but that doesn't mean that we can't have some fun in the process. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is trying to come into partnership. This is exactly what we are seeing that is allowing for the possibility of partnership to continue. And I will stress that yesterday we may be seeing a breakage point. Today we may see the articulation of the breakage point, because something about the overwhelm that feminine was feeling yesterday as they were contemplating moving into divine union with masculine energy had to do with the fact of whether feminine energy felt like they could release the past to be able to have a new forward future moment with the masculine here. This is a masculine that's trying to affirm to the feminine in every way, shape, or form that they are serious, that they are really committed to making the changes that are necessary to come into divine union. For some of the feminine energy, what we were effectively identifying that may have been happening yesterday is something about the masculine's affirmation doesn't feel like it is enough. If it did not feel like it is enough, if this is something where the feminine feels like they cannot release that experience, they cannot release the trauma that may have happened from identifying a moment where they felt like the masculine was not as forthright as they would have aspired them to be, that would have potentially led to a lot of the feminine energy moving back into the separation cycle. For the rest of the feminine energy right now, the moment of being able to say to the masculine right now, I see, I confirm, I believe that you are capable of making these changes. I trust you. I'm taking this leap of faith that you will do something different in the future. I, for myself, will also come into the state of compromise, of letting go of the past and assuming that this is a clean slate. This is what is allowing the possibility of moving into divine union going forward. Masculine and feminine energy and separation, this is again more of that internal journey that is happening. For the feminine energy, this is that washing of the hands that we saw, the reassessment of past experiences that are now not even traumatizing so much, almost reaffirming. It's not the fact that they're not coming back up. It's almost like when they come back up right now, feminine's own opinion on them is changing because feminine is effectively reaffirming to themselves their own actions in this. Feminine has healed the karmic connection on their own. Feminine saying, like I said yesterday, we identified it being like, let the record show that I have done everything I can in these contracts. This is the feminine effectively coming into that point. But again, this is also a release process because again, this is feminine energy looking at situations and circumstances and effectively saying that again, the energy that is showing the commitment, the energy that is showing the degree of showing that they are ready to move into something that is more serious is not going to have to be chased after to do so. They're just going to come forward and be open and honest about that expression. This is almost the conscientious lesson that the feminine is taking from these experiences. Feminine is alchemizing the revisitation in terms of further affirmation and saying, I am only going to make sure that I am going to move into new karmic energies that are as serious about things as I am. This is a feminine saying, I do not have time to have my time wasted right now. This is the feminine learning the ability to heal the karmic connections faster, but only effectively leaving themselves available to energy that does not feel like they're moving in this vibration of just trying to enjoy oneself, because that potentially is the energy that the feminine was trying to heal in the first place. Masculine energy right now. And there may even be a moment that we're seeing right now of feminine keeping some point of conscientiousness open right now and saying, this isn't effectively saying that there isn't a belief that masculine can't heal here. It's again, it's almost the feminine energy, like checking inside to see if the cake is ready and being like, that cake is not ready. That cake is not close to being ready. This is the feminine energy, again, not even holding the blame on the masculine for this right now. It's almost just looking at masculine and reaffirming in their own visitation of the situation and saying, this energy is not ready to upgrade into divine union. Masculine energy in separation right now, what are we seeing that's happening? It is that revisitation of the process that we saw that you were experiencing last week. A lot of that explosiveness. Feeling yesterday may have been a lot of difficulty because you may have felt like you've hit a lot of dead ends to a certain extent in your own present experience. But we are seeing that you're alchemizing that right now and changing it into a point of transformation. For the masculine energy, this is going to feel in separation right now. This is going to feel very much like a personal journey because you are looking at things and you are validating that there are some things that you would have done differently. Again, for some of the masculine energy right now, this is potentially making these points of adjustment right now to be able to go back towards the thing that you either feel like you left behind, or it is conscientiously making immediate changes in your environment so that you can be more serious going forward. Again, what did I say? The healing is coming whether you want it to or not. For the masculine in separation, that ability to like move into a point of deeper seriousness is coming through. It's just coming through as a personal cycle as opposed to one that you're experiencing karmically, because you're effectively identifying that something about a karmic connection was potentially lost and requires a recalibration point in your own present experience to either avoid that happening in the future or for the hope of being able to come back into contact with that energy. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Queen of Wands in its reversal. Why is the masculine energy doing this right now? Feminine energy right now is effectively, and this is going to feel very interesting. We see that there's a feminine energy right now. This is a bit of that crash point that we may have been seeing from yesterday. We identified yesterday feminine was really going through the ringer. A lot of emotionality happening very fast. We literally saw the feminine go from a Queen of Cups in its reverse to a High Priestess in like the span of a day. And this is almost the feminine energy that just kind of needs this moment to recalibrate. There's been a lot of energy coming towards the feminine right now. And what we're really seeing here is there's a feminine that is being very trepidatious as it relates to what they are expressing right now, because more than anything, this is almost a feminine energy that is going into a point of quietude, almost going to a point of analysis, trying to, again, what did I say? Identify how they are feeling before they make changes on it. Right? I even identified yesterday for the feminine energy something about making sure that you weren't responding reactively to things, because we saw the masculine was even on a bit of the eggshells around you, noticing that you were already in that vibration. But this is almost the feminine energy putting in a lot of consideration in terms of what they want to do or say prior to them doing it. For the feminine energy right now, even in partnership at this time, this is potentially a bit of that struggle point. Why is this a bit of that struggle point right now? Because as I identified, something that potentially came up yesterday that may have been creating a little bit of friction still, even in the energies that are in partnership, is that feminine may have effectively tried to articulate to masculine in some way, shape, or form a desire to pull out of some kind of more social obligations, not really feeling in the mood or having the desire to be in a present place. Masculine may have even had to articulate to feminine their own sense of disappointment around that, because it almost was a moment of the masculine potentially even having to concede to the feminine and feeling like they were already making a lot of accommodations for the feminine prior to that point. And now it's almost something where the masculine may be considering or feeling some sense of disappointment on something that they were looking forward to that the feminine energy doesn't feel as actively invested in right now. This is where we're seeing a bit of that frustration that may even be arising right now in partnerships. I want you to be very mindful of this, because even in partnership right now, it could be feeling right now that there is a bit of opposition in terms of what the feminine energy is desiring to do right now versus the masculine energy. The masculine is moving into a space or place where they may want to be moving more in a space of easement. Almost the masculine trying to say to the feminine, I need, like much like the feminine needed that decompression point in emotionality, masculine may be trying to articulate to feminine, what you experience in that decompression of emotionality, I get from the experience of delight. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. This is the masculine trying to say to the feminine that while the feminine may have experienced that point of catharsis through the emotional outpouring, masculine gets it through the experience of delight. So this is almost the masculine potentially trying to articulate to the feminine. And feminine, this may be considering a point of reconsideration in terms of something that you may have said yesterday that you didn't want to do, that you're now kind of understanding may mean a lot to the masculine. And so the problem here is, this is again, the beauty of a partnership is in the fact that we can work through these spaces and places of productive compromise. So here we're almost seeing that the feminine energy may be feeling a little frustrated like the masculine was yesterday, because it's also requiring you to be able to have that point of accommodation for the masculine right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, 4, masculine and feminine energy that is trying to come into partnership. This is that moment that, again, it's going to feel a little bittersweet. It's not going to feel like sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. It's feeling a little bit like that, sinking in the stomach feeling of something that needs to be done, but is also the right thing to do. Why are we seeing this right now? Because for both energies, what did I say? The sign, I'm going to say it here, the feeling, this is the feeling this is going to have right now if you're moving into partnership, is almost like the sign of a good deal is when everybody leaves it a little bit more frustrated. If like no one's completely happy, then it's a good thing, because again, that's learning the power of the partnership itself, being able to have that point of investiture. And for both energies right now, even as you're moving into partnership at this time, it could be feeling a little bittersweet. Why is it feeling a little bittersweet? Because masculine is affirming to feminine that they are going to change their ways. They're not going to move with so much autonomy, which is a little hard for the masculine because it means that they're robbing themselves of a little bit of joy. They recognize that they're going to have to make some changes in the way that they do things so that they can have divine union. Feminine has to let go of the past. Feminine needs to release any of the burden, the frustration, the anger, the anxiety, the fear that they feel based on what has happened prior to this point to allow this to be a clean slate. Both energies are feeling to a certain degree, like again, the union is coming together, but it is feeling bittersweet because it is requiring some level or degree of compromise. But that's why it's a good partnership, okay? That's a sign of it being a good, positive, productive, divine union. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is more of that reflection point that we're seeing with these energies in separation, but it's going to feel like a little bit more of a funhouse mirror right now. Because what are we seeing? We are seeing the fact that for the feminine energy right now, it is a point of rebuilding and release, but you're not necessarily feeling the passion of one who effectively would feel the confidence of doing this. This is not a feminine energy that's like raring to go right now into new partnership possibilities. This is a feminine that is effectively affirming to themselves what it is that they truly seek. But the problem with this is not a feminine energy that is walking away from something because there wasn't a desire of something better to be there. This is a feminine energy navigating the grief and deciding that what they desire from someone is incapable of providing them because they are not emotionally or spiritually ready to take that trip with feminine. And this is the moment that, again, the feminine energy is doing this work of rebuilding. They are having those reconsideration points. They are reaffirming to themselves that they would not have done anything differently. They're effectively recognizing to a certain extent, almost looking at the energy of the masculine in those moments of revisitation and saying, this energy was showing an inability to be able to get more serious about things, but it's not an easy journey for feminine to go forward with because, again, feminine energy is feeling that level or degree of uncertainty as they proceed forward from this point. There could even be a moment right now of feminine feeling like a little bit of drifting, if you will, in terms of feeling like, well, where do I go from here? How do I make sure that that doesn't happen again? It's almost feeling like a point of rebuilding. It's like looking at like the clear space and trying to decide how to go forward from this point. I'm going to say for the feminine energy that's in this modality right now, making sure that you're doing a lot of work to really work on your manifestations is going to help right now. Really focus on gratitude, really focus on what it is that you're truly trying to create for yourself at this moment is going to help as you find yourself in the space of laying new foundations, okay? It's okay for you to feel today like you don't really have a lot to say. This could even be a feminine that is now cutting off communication with some energy because, again, it's almost from a point of looking at something with a level or degree of sadness, almost not being able to articulate to energy and say, I don't think you're ready to meet me where I am at here. Masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is also a moment that we are seeing that is creating a space and place of personal growth right now. The masculine energy is either moving into one of two different modalities right now. This is masculine energy that over the last few days had some point of observation, of frustration on where you find yourself presently in your own journey, potentially even feeling some of that roadblock, that like dead end energy a little bit right now, making you question your own journey and your own path, specifically being triggered by something that you feel that you left in the past that you're still feeling a connection to, i.e. the unhealed karmic connection. For masculine energy, we see that there was one of two different decisions that were being made to help free you from this blockage. This is either masculine making immediate changes in their own life to be able to have that point of accessibility back towards the feminine that is their heart's desire, or this is a masculine energy that is making these personal changes for themselves at this moment with the confirmation and affirmation of feeling like they recognize why or how something reached the point of unhealing with another energy. This is almost the masculine saying, affirming to themselves that they understand why this energy may not necessarily be accessible or available to them. And it's almost like this recommitment to themselves to make these accommodations, to go forward and from a point of healing, is also in a way a space or place that they are honoring the past connection. The problem with some of this energy right now is some of the masculine might not be doing this in communication with this energy. It's almost like the confirmation and affirmation and understanding. This is potentially feeling for some of the energy right now that there's something that they feel is like, this is more of that masculine potentially carrying this forward and saying, I don't see any way that they could forgive me. I don't know if they ever would forgive me. I don't think I've changed enough for them to even be ready for them to forgive me. I need to it's almost like the masculine recognizing the impossibility of the moment right now, but affirming to continue to make those changes for themselves as they progress forward from this point. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is that it? Do you want to come out or not? Wow. Okay, somebody's going to talk now. Masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership this is good. This is productive because again, and I need to stress right now that for some of the feminine energy right now, I love this. For some of the feminine energy right now in partnership, this is almost going to feel a little bit like the masculine energy is coming across right now. It's almost like, it feels like you're doing some inner child work right now for the masculine energy, is what we're almost seeing. Because we're almost seeing the fact that the feminine energy is going through this moment of overwhelm, right? And they almost had that emotional overwhelm that they couldn't articulate yesterday to masculine. They saw the fact that masculine was doing all this work to accommodate it. Feminine tried to pull out of something potentially, or not necessarily show some interest in doing something that the masculine was interested in doing. And this is almost the feminine seeing the masculine energy today, kind of pouting about it, kind of pouting a little bit, almost feeling like a bit of emotional pouting, being are you really, really sure you don't want to do these things? Are you really, really sure you don't want to do that with me? Because this is the feminine almost feeling to a certain extent that the feminine energy can't necessarily express exactly what they want right now. It's almost feeling a little bit like a pat on the head to the masculine, being okay, we can do those things. We can go do that. It's fine. I'm not necessarily feeling in the mood to do them, but for you, I'll do it. It's giving a lot of that kind of energy here. Masculine energy, you could also be appreciating this too, again. But I think in another way, masculine almost recognizes to a certain extent that this is how the masculine energy is trying to get the feminine energy back into a state of confidence. I think what feminine might not realize right now in partnership, if this is happening, is this is almost the feminine masculine energy that feels very convinced that whatever they're trying to pull the feminine towards right now that feels more related to delight or distraction, the masculine feels would actually be for the benefit of the feminine. It's almost like they don't want to reveal that, but I'm almost seeing here that this is a masculine that's I need to make this feel like it's for me because I know that they won't do it for themselves, which is actually kind of very sweet. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is trying to come into partnership right now, what we're really seeing is, again, some of the energy, I'm just going to say, some of the energy yesterday potentially went back into separation. There was something about the circumstances or situation, even masculine, opening up to a certain degree, that may have led to the feminine energy effectively coming into a space or place where the feminine energy effectively felt like they had to release something. And this could feel very difficult for masculine right now that's going through this, because what we're effectively seeing to a certain extent is this is potentially a masculine that opened up and revealed something to feminine, and this is feminine effectively saying, I can't let it go. The problem right now for some of the feminine energy that it's moving back into separation is you might not necessarily be articulating this to the masculine right now. So again, that could be a bit of a problem wall that's happening right now for some of the energy now that's back into separation. For the rest of the energy that's moving into divine union or continuing on that path into divine union right now, what we are effectively seeing is occurring right now is the fact that both masculine and feminine energy are making some sort of compromise that is allowing the possibility of divine union to be possible at this time. For masculine, it is the affirmation of making changes and not necessarily moving from such an autonomous space wherein you're only thinking about your own benefit, i.e. divine union. For feminine, it is letting go of the past. It is releasing the past, not speaking on the past, not letting some of that unspoken stuff. It's almost like a point of recognition of having to just let something go to allow for a new possibility to emerge. For both energies, there is a bit of this wait and see approach, and it's starting right now with, again, potentially the beginnings of new communication, that restart, those humble beginnings. It could almost be feeling like a bit of that restart energy. Again, even in the energies trying to come into partnership right now, almost articulating like, well, where do we go from here, right? Masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership or in separation. This is effectively what we are identifying or seeing is that moment of clearing. Feminine energy, what is feminine energy doing right now? Feminine energy is clearing out the cycle. Feminine energy is allowing themselves a restart. They are looking back on past experiences. It's not the fact that that revisitation isn't occurring, but they are affirming to themselves as they revisit those circumstances or situations right now. There is a point of effectively looking at something and affirming and saying, I wouldn't have done anything differently. That energy just wasn't ready. It is almost creating a moment right now that is feeling a bit bittersweet for the feminine, because while there is a need to move forward in this way, it's not that the feminine energy is moving towards something that they see. It's leaving themselves open to new possibilities or opportunities. The problem right now for feminine is it may be feeling to a certain extent like your heart isn't really in it. It almost might be feeling right now a little bit like you're just kind of going through the motions. But feminine to a certain extent is almost identifying and recognizing right now that it's going to have to feel a little bit like going through the motions as they do this, because it is a journey that they are making right now to be able to find new connections. The feminine is effectively cutting a cord so that they're now leaving a moment of uncertainty in terms of what to expect. But it's almost the feminine almost grounding themselves and recognizing that even this is an important part of the process, because it shows the fact that your own ability to move forward is not necessarily based. We're seeing here it's not based on desiring something new. It's recognizing something that you don't want, that you're letting go of. That's what's so difficult about this. For masculine energy, in separation right now, this is that moment that feels more like the internalized journey, because again, there's something about not being in connection or not being able to be in immediate connection with some energy right now that is incurring or impelling you to make some personal changes. This is either a moment that you were feeling a lot of blockage yesterday, potentially looking at your life right now with a feeling of frustration, not feeling that desire to move forward, or feeling like there's something that you're in right now that your heart isn't really invested in, or feeling this moment right now of feeling the pain of wanting to be back in connection with an energy, but recognizing how much damage has been done over the time that's been extended in terms of you trying to break away from that energy, that is now requiring a new foundation to be built around you at this time. The important question for the masculine right now is what you're trying to build. We're seeing here the masculine's making changes. This is like back to square one to a certain extent. It's the point of being able to recognize those changes. The bigger question right now is the masculine almost looking at something and asking. It's almost like the masculine asking their inner child, well, what do you want to do? Like, I know you want to tear it. Like, this is the masculine, like knocking the Legos down. And internally, the masculine, like looking at themselves and being like, that's great that you want to knock the Legos down, but what do you want to build in its wake? Is this something that you want to move back towards this karmic energy? Or are you just showing dissatisfaction with what you have right now? So this is almost the masculine having to go on that internal journey and like almost face the inner child to understand the logic of what they're trying to do. You're trying to do at this moment to make sure that it is sound. Continuing to get, and it's going to feel like a lot of inner child work, because again, something about, I need to stress here, there's something about what's led to the moment or the point of trying to move away from this energy, but also feeling gravitated towards it right now, that is almost requiring you to recognize some deeper work as it relates to your inner child, as it relates to your connection with feminine energy on the whole, and how you can accommodate or adjust for it for better connections going forward. either new connections so that you can heal this, or healing the past connection where this epiphany occurred. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Judgment in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love to see this card, Four of Pentacles. Everybody's giving forth today. Something is coming. You know what the universe hates? The universe hates a lack. The universe hates a lack. It wants to fill it with something. So again, this is that moment of looking at something, feeling that restart, and feeling the implementation of really having to focus on what you want to give forth on your time and energy with today. The problem with masculine and feminine right now in partnership has nothing to do with not a desire of wanting to give forth. There may be some points of dissimilarity right now in terms of where you want to put your time and energy. Feminine may want to really focus right now on things that they feel are driving their own task or personal mission right now. Masculine almost wants to come into a state of easement. Masculine could potentially be looking at like a feminine right now and being like, it's Friday, not Monday. Remember how I said this is feeling like a Friday that feels like a Monday? This is feminine being like, every day is Monday to me. And masculine's being like, no, it's Friday. Friday is the day that we do things that are nice. And so this is that moment that the only issue that we're really seeing right now in the divine union or partnership is trying to identify where to put that time, where to put that effort, where to put that energy. Where are these things going right now, right? But again, it's the moment. And again, for the feminine, there may be a feeling of a little bit of frustration right now because you may be feeling like the masculine energy is like wants you to go do something that's distracting you from like what you should be doing. Now, masculine and feminine that are trying to come into partnership right now, that are still on the partnership cycle. This is the investiture in the partnership itself. It is the recognition that the partnership is going to require something that is going to take tangible effort. What is tangible effort? It's doing something that you wouldn't typically do, but for the sake of the partnership. That is what divine union is. It's not doing what you want all the time. It's doing what is best for the partnership itself, okay? And that's what the masculine and feminine energy are learning right now in divine union and partnership. We got masculine that's affirming to the feminine and saying, I'm going to make better choices going forward. I'm not just going to move based on what feels good. We're going to work it out together. We're going to go through these things together. It's now a two-sided effort instead of a personal journey. Feminine is saying, I'm going to let go of all the times that you've shown me that you couldn't do that in order for us to start to do that together going forward. Feminine's feeling some insecurity about whether that's possible, but feminine's almost adopting a wait and see approach, kind of holding their tongue to see, to wait and see if the masculine can hold tight to this. And the feminine's almost saying that her concession is a letting go of the past. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the feminine energy clearing the karmic cycle. This is the feminine energy washing their hands of the past. And this is the feminine energy that, again, it's not the fact that the feminine energy is completely invested in pouring their time, effort, and energy into whatever this new opportunity that they're coming towards right now is, because the feminine energy can't see it. It's almost like the confirmation of the feminine right now in terms of affirming that they're putting their time and effort and energy in something that actually is going to yield results is all the difference right now, because this is a feminine looking at something from the past. And again, it's not the fact that it's coming back up. It's almost the feminine almost immediately clearing the cycle. Like even if this comes up right now, this is a feminine going, I did all I could do. 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 And that's almost like how this is how the cycle's clearing for the feminine. This is how the karmic energy is getting cleared. It's not that it's not coming back. It's more the reaffirmation to the feminine of being like, I just went through the whole thing. I did everything I could do. There's nothing there for me to be, there's nothing else that can be done. That is refocusing the feminine energy, clearing the karmic connection, allowing them to move forward, to accept new opportunities coming forward. Now, masculine energy in separation, it is the opposite. You're on the other side of this mirror, okay? Masculine energy in separation, there's something about looking back on the past right now that it's the opposite that's coming through. You're potentially looking back on something and being like, did I do everything I could do? Did I do, I should have done that. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done this. This is why this is becoming more of a personal journey, because you're looking at things and being like, I would have done them differently. The reason I'm not in contact with some energy right now is because I would have done something differently. This is the reaffirmation of the masculine and wanting to make those points of adjustment, learning the changes that one wants to make right now, either to come back in connection with this energy, to heal the karmic energy that you're still feeling connected to, or this is that affirmation to the self of what you're going to change going forward, to be able to start this new foundation, because you're hitting this point of dissatisfaction in terms of whatever you find yourself in right now. So it's almost requiring you to really ask yourself, by asking your inner child, where do you want to put that effort? What are we trying to create? And this is all I need to stress. This is something that's happening right now for the masculine in separation that you need to be very conscientious of. There could be a moment right now where masculine wants to walk away from something. There's almost a drive that the masculine is feeling right now. Again, I'm looking at it this like knocking the blocks moment. This is almost the masculine pausing for a minute before they do so and saying, wait, if you're going to knock all of this down, if we're going to do all of these changes, what do you want in its wake? And that moment of visualization and manifestation is, again, the masculine deciding what steps they're going to do right now to break through this karmic blockage that they've experienced in terms of their present experience and the unhealed karmic connection. Continuing to get clarification between our judgment in its reversal in combination with our page of cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? What am I talking about with the unhealed karmic connections? This is it. This is, again, masculine and feminine energy right now, even in partnership. This is coming up right now. This is coming up. There's something about the unhealed karmic connections right now that is being effectively navigated or worked through. And I will stress the beauty and the sanctity of the divine union is the fact that the divine union allows there to be a reconsideration point around some situations and experiences right now. We are seeing that some of this work right now is almost helping to address some unhealed karmic connections outside of the partnership itself. This could be a moment right now where there could be some feelings right now of outside grief, outside frustration, trying to pay attention to some of these unhealed karmic connections, or could even be a point of observation that some of that reason, some of that outpouring of trauma that effectively occurred, or the outpouring of emotion that occurred yesterday in partnership, feminine specifically right now may be identifying as the fact of the weight of some of the unhealed karmic energy that they're still trying to process right now. This is masculine and feminine right now, almost working on their own unhealed trauma. But again, the beauty of the partnership, the divine union, is it allows a space or place to navigate it, but with a point of realizing that having those experiences come up do not yield the same results that occurred or caused the breakage points in the first place. This is a lot of potential unpacking that's happening right now in these partnerships, but it's feeling like it is productive. It is allowing for that degree and recognition of almost saying you can have these things rise up. You're not going to experience the same situations in the process of it. Masculine may even be bringing up the fact that the feminine taking something away from them right now could have been feeling kind of triggering to them, while as feminine may be feeling right now the weight of, again, not wanting to disrupt a karmic connection right now. And this could be one of the problems right now of feminine, because I need to say that for some of the feminine energy in partnership right now, there needs to be a point of consideration to be paid right now between what you're effectively agreeing towards right now for masculine versus whether it's something that you're really invested in, because there could be something here with the feminine that needs to tackle about the fact about whether these things that you're trying to move into right now that are going to make the masculine energy happy, whether they feel like they are fortifying the connection, you're doing it for the service of the partnership, or you feel like they're creating a disruption point. Because even in the partnership right now, it's something about that dissimilarity between what the feminine wants to do right now and the masculine that may be feeling a little bit triggering right now. So making sure that you don't respond to your triggers, but articulating on those triggers is going to be really important right now. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is trying to come into partnership this is effectively what we are seeing. This is why some of the energy may have moved back into separation yesterday, because it could have been a bridge too far in terms of, like we saw, that process of release that the feminine energy needed to do in order to be able to persist forward on this partnership cycle. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is the fact that, again, for feminine energy, it's not the fact that it is a feeling like this is healed. This is not healed at all. This is a feminine energy that is getting from masculine a affirmation of change going forward. But it hasn't necessarily been seen in evidence yet. And that is why we see for the feminine, there's still a lot of wariness, even if going into partnership right now, because it's making the feminine have to adopt a bit of a wait and see approach. Masculine energy in partnership right now, this is feeling more like a personal hurdle that's being accepted and received, because again, there is this moment that we are effectively seeing that is creating a bit of a problem right now for the masculine energy, because while there may be a affirmation right now in terms of being able to move into union, there's almost an observation that you're going to have to cut some connections in the process. That there may be something here that needs some point of realignment, because there's something about the fact that the masculine is effectively affirming that they can make the changes, but it's almost the feeling that masculine is going to have to unengage from other karmic energy right now, potentially, in order to move into deeper divine union. And masculine is feeling the weight of effectively having to take those steps, even as they're affirming that they will do so. Feminine energy right now, in separation, this is the cutting of the cord. You guys talk about cord cutting spells. This is the energetic cutting of the cord. This is, again, the feminine energy. It's not the fact that there isn't this revisitation of these experiences right now. It's more the feminine just effectively reaffirming themselves every time it comes up. Nope, nope, nope. This is the feminine having that cycle coming through, which is like thinking about it again. They weren't serious. It's unhealed. Thinking about it again. They weren't serious. It's unhealed. Thinking about it again. They weren't ready. It's unhealed. This is the feminine energy, again, going back to that point of revisitation, but almost immediately being able to put the block in to allow for the clearance of the blockage, because this is feminine energy, like putting in the data point to themselves and saying, it wasn't me. I did what I could. This energy wasn't ready. It's not me. I did what I could. This energy isn't ready. That is like the affirmation cycle that the feminine is now being able to navigate themselves through, that is helping to immediately heal the connection. It's like feminine is closing the loop for themselves. It's like stitching up the hole. It's like suturing it. Like that's how the feminine is suturing. It's like, think of the karmic connection now. This is how the feminine's healing it. It's not the fact that it's staying in connection. It's feminine is now looking at it like a void that they just need to stitch back up by remembering that this is the work that they're doing, okay? Masculine in separation right now, this is going to feel like more of the heaviness of the connection, because this isn't necessarily something that is easy to fix, because this is not coming through as a moment of masculine looking at something and saying, I did everything I could have done. This is masculine potentially now feeling a moment and saying, I could have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I could have done that. I shouldn't have done that. And this is the masculine almost going through this right now and building the blocks and what they're going to change, either about themselves in the present, learning, healing, learning the messages now, coming through now, getting the healing now, or this is the masculine energy looking at something and saying, I know how to heal this connection now. I need to tell them. I need to tell them that now I observe that I would have done some things differently. Masculine is either going to go back to do this right now, either laying that clearance point to be able to do so, or this is masculine affirming this to themselves so that they can go forward on this healing process to make sure that they're not repeating the mistakes of the past, even as they're feeling the weight of the unhealed karmic energy. Continuing forward right now between our Page of Cups in its reversal and our Queen of Wands in its reversal. This is that dissimilarity we're seeing in the partnerships right now. Clarification coming through right now. Balance. We love to see this card right now. And this is effectively, again, this is why the divine union and the divine partnerships are working so well right now. 333 in the room. Because masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, okay, is recognizing, what did we keep saying? That a good partnership doesn't necessarily mean that everybody gets to do what they want at every single moment of the day. It's that moment of finding what feels balanced, what feels fair, what feels equal. It is that equal give and take that one gives the other. What do you need? What do I need? What feels like it is going to be in balance for both of us right now? What are we seeing right now? Even in partnership right now, there is a bit of a dissimilarity between the desires of the feminine versus the desires of the masculine. Feminine feels like masculine is trying to lead them into points of distraction through the desire for delight. Masculine is looking at feminine and feeling like feminine is robbing masculine of opportunities for delight because of their own desire, their own anxiety about making plans or following through on those plans. This is like that moment that there needs to be this articulation point to say, how can we make this more balanced? Masculine and feminine energy right now, between coming into partnership, this is that same point of balance that we're effectively identifying and experiencing that you're seeing right now, that is helping you recognize the template that is creating an ability or possibility of adjustment going forward. This is why it potentially feels different, even if you guys have been in partnership in the past, because it doesn't feel like now that you guys are going against each other. It's more effectively talking to each other to find that accommodation point and what is comfortable. Masculine, again, and it's difficult conversations because masculine, again, feminine is potentially, this is going to sound exactly like what I just said, the partnered energies are doing, okay? Are you paying attention? Feminine is potentially telling you right now that you need to take some steps right now to allow for balance, because feminine's really willing to let some things go if they see some actions that show that you mean what you say. It may require some unhealed karmic energy to happen, because feminine's effectively saying to masculine, cool, you're saying that you can make these changes. I would like to see them occur. What are you going to say to X? What are you going to say to Y? What is going to happen with these energies around you right now that we needed to address? Masculine's feeling a little frustration because this is effectively, again, that moment of realizing what needs to be given up for the sake of the partnership, a bit of a curtailing on personal delight. Masculine is potentially saying to the feminine right now, potentially navigating plans and saying, well, what is this going to look like going forward? How are we going to adjust this? Because again, feminine is in a point right now where the feminine is not necessarily laying the groundwork in terms of what things are going to look like right now. Feminine's more at a point right now of saying like, well, what are you still going to adjust so that we can build forward? The problem right now is this is almost like both energies are asking for something from the other, and they're both very resistant to give it until they see the other one. Masculine saying, well, like, what are we going to do going forward? And feminine's like, well, first we have to deal with the situation we find ourselves in right now. But again, working on trying to find that balance at this time is going to be very important. So really making sure, for feminine, the challenge is going to be really communicating what it is that you aspire for. Because there's something about the masculine really looking to the feminine to be able to articulate upon their needs right now, even though feminine's telling the masculine to just like, you know, it's almost like make sure that the plans aren't just like what you can't do versus like, what is this going to look like going forward? Masculine and feminine working on this right now in partnership, welcome. You're coming into divine union. It's hard work. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, what we are effectively seeing is a point or an observation in terms of recognizing something that's very important right now in relation to the feminine being able to build this point of catharsis for themselves, even in separation. This is why we're seeing that this process right now is coming through that feels more like a process of completion than separation, because feminine energy is effectively looking at something right now and they're feeling to a certain extent that the connection that they're holding to someone no longer feels like someone who is denying the feminine of something. This is the feminine looking at the masculine or the energy that they're feeling connecting to, and they're almost amplifying to themselves their mistake. The mistake that the feminine is looking at in those past situations is potentially similar to feeling like trying to squeeze blood from a stone. This is the feminine saying, my problem here wasn't in asking for something. And it wasn't in someone denying it for me. This is almost the feminine now looking and saying, I was asking someone for something that they never had the ability to give. They were not ready. Everything about their expression, everything about what they were doing is showing some amplification that they were not ready. This could even be a moment of the feminine saying, this is an energy that said they were ready. But everything about their actions made it very clear that they were not ready for what they were asking of me. And this is the feminine effectively creating that sense of balance. This is how the peace is restored. This is how the feminine is healing the karmic energy and being like, it's almost coming through a point of forgiveness too. Because it's recognizing the difference between holding someone accountable for something they didn't do versus almost looking at someone and being like, I've never seen any evidence that that person could do that at all. That's almost something that the feminine is saying, my mistake was potentially looking at someone and expecting them to do something that they were not qualified to do energetically or spiritually at the time that I was doing it. That's how feminine energy is restoring balance right now. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that it's going to feel a little bit more like a personal growth moment. Because this is potentially feeling the distance that you have with an energy that you still feel connected to right now. And you're trying to find that balance. But it's requiring you to get more serious about things. It's almost requiring that point of recalibration. Because what we are really seeing right now is the fact that the masculine is looking at something and saying, I realize that I could have been more fair with that energy. It's almost the masculine saying and observing and being like the feminine, and almost looking at the feminine right now, even in separation, even that revisitation we're seeing. This is potentially a masculine looking at this right now and saying, I understand why they acted the way they did. I understand why they spoke what they said. Because this was an energy. This is almost the masculine now getting that insight, the feminine perspective on something, and saying, this was an energy that cared, but was trying to articulate the need and the desire to see me become more serious about something. And that's the masculine almost creating that sense of balance for themselves right now, because it's almost creating that point of understanding in what they need to change within themselves to, again, either come back in connection with this energy or to make sure that this is not a cycle that continues to repeat going forward. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands in its reversal and our Page of Wands in its upright. We love this card right now. We've got here the Sun. This is allowing for that breakage point. This is allowing finally a little bit of ease from all of this heavy energy that we've been experiencing during the eclipse right now. Masculine and feminine energy, it's going to feel like a bit, I have to stress for the feminine today, it's going to feel like a little bit of a concession that you're doing for the masculine. Like I said, it's almost like looking at the masculine right now and almost feeling like they're coming towards you in a way that almost feels like a bit of a child that's very excited about something. And this is the feminine, like, again, almost giving that point of concession and being like, okay, I'm not, it's almost a feminine being like, I'm not as invested in whatever this is as you are, but if it makes you happy, then that is enough for me, right? It's almost like feeling a little bit of the feminine coming into that caretaker role right now, even if it feels like it's moving the feminine away from something that they feel like they would rather be focusing on right now. For masculine right now, you could be seeing that the feminine's doing that. And there's the funny part about this for the masculine in partnership is like, I know that you're saying you're not into it, but you're going to be totally into it like when we do it. Like this is the feminine masculine, like almost like, I'm almost seeing that some of the masculine right now might be amplifying their own desire to do something because they really feel like it's actually in the best interest in the feminine for them both to do it. Because it's getting the feminine energy out of this headspace that they're in to be able to like, this is almost like, let's go take a walk. And feminine's like, I don't want to take a walk. And you're like, it's going to be great. I would really like to take a walk. It would mean a lot to me if we take a walk, but it's almost like the masculine being like, you need to take a walk, right? Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in trying to come into partnership. This is that moment that, again, feminine and masculine are trying to stay positive about this. Feminine is trying to make themselves, the anxiety or the fear that the feminine's feeling about the masculine is being reaffirmed by the fact that the masculine's communicating in a way that they haven't communicated before. This is why for the feminine energy trying to come into partnership right now, even though there's some anxiety about masculine moving forward in this way, following through on what they've told the feminine, it's almost the concession of the fact that the masculine has opened up in this way that is reaffirming to the feminine that they feel like there is still a possibility of partnership. Feminine is still keeping a bit of a wait and see approach as they wait to see if the masculine will make good on making some of the changes necessary to allow for that joint mutual happiness going forward. Masculine, it may be feeling a little bit more right now, like you're kind of feeling like you're recognizing, it's almost like a feeling a little bit right now for masculine. If you're trying to come into partnership, it's like this feeling of relief, but also feeling like you're trying to get yourself out of the doghouse a little bit. Because again, you're recognizing the fact that this is something that the feminine, is giving you a bit of a concession for, that you've opened up in this way. You haven't opened up in this way before. And you're recognizing that this is a feminine that's still feeling a little bit closed off to you. But again, it's almost the assurance that you're trying to give them through continuing to communicate in this way, to articulate that you are in fact committed to that joint mutual joy, recognizing that these are changes that you're making for the benefit of each other. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine energy effectively again going through this process of catharsis, because the feminine energy is feeling a little bit today like they're phoning it in. The feminine energy in separation right now potentially feels like they're going through the motions, but the feminine energy is going through the motions and accepting new possibilities or opportunities from new energy right now by saying, I am choosing my joy. I'm choosing my joy. That the feminine energy is focusing on their joy. And even though the joy isn't necessarily present in this moment, this is a feminine energy that's saying, I choose to move towards joy instead of holding on to something that is hurting me. That is why the feminine energy is also able to clear the cycle right now, because the feminine energy is saying, when in doubt, I'm going to move towards my joy. I'm going to move towards the sun, and I'm going to let the shadows fall behind me. As difficult as that is, I'm going to continue forward, chasing my joy. And I'm leaving myself open to the new opportunities that come as I do so. That's why the feminine energy right now is feeling a little bit uncertain as they do so, because the feminine's not necessarily moving towards a person so much as their own self. This is a feminine energy saying, I choose myself, I choose my joy, I choose my happiness, I choose to move away from something that is only bringing me pain. Masculine energy in separation right now, very different experience, because right now, masculine, you are also trying to move towards your joy. The problem is that something about your joy is still connected to an energy that you are now feeling like you are in distance or in disconnection to. And this is the masculine energy that, again, is trying to weigh how to get back to that point of joy, that this is an internal journey right now, and it has more to do with the decisions and actions of the masculine, because it's feeling more like a very binary choice for the masculine. It's feeling like there's a moment right now that is saying to them, which direction do I go? Do I try to make amends with this energy? Do I try to come back into connection with this karmic connection that is in such a point of needing healing and needing some sense of closure? Or do I continue to just move forward and hope that I can release this, even though we're seeing that something about the cycle that's been progressing is not showing any indication of that being able to, or the case? This is the masculine, again, trying to make that choice right now by asking themselves, again, the conversation with the inner child and saying, what would make you happy? What is our happiness? Where is our happiness? What does that happiness look like? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Ta-da! We love to see this card here. We've got our Knight of Pentacles, and it is in its upright. So masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership. This is, again, employing this ability and this degree right now that, again, it's not the fact that you guys are completely on the same page right now. We're seeing here that there is something that feels like a little bit of a rupture point as it relates to trying to heal something right now. Because, again, we're almost seeing with the focus right now on what feminine desires to do. It feels like masculine's moving in the opposite direction right now. It's almost like feeling like your goalposts are not in the same space. But what you're both doing right now is you're remembering that what you're trying to do is make sure that you're creating something that feels balanced and equal. You're both being willing, and this is the important thing, you're both being willing to put time and energy into things you don't necessarily always feel that invested in. And what the feminine's almost telling themselves right now is this is a masculine energy right now that they feel. The feminine is willing to kind of make this concession right now to the masculine as it relates to something that feels like it's more pulling them into a state of distraction due to the fact that they feel like the masculine energy has been creating a supportive environment for them in the process. This is the masculine energy that feels like, in a way, the gift that the feminine energy sees in the masculine that's helping them come through any of these rifts right now is the consistency and stability of the masculine energy. And this is almost a masculine energy that's almost affirming to the feminine, even through this moment, that says, like, we don't have to be perfect for each other. We don't need to be perfect for each other. We just need to show up for each other. We need to show up for each other. We always need to be present for each other. It is the consistency that sustains the partnership. And this is the masculine in this way, shape, or form, having that sense of stability and creating it right now. Because this is almost a moment right now of the feminine recognizing that the masculine's been making some concessions as well, but also feeling the fact that the masculine is not necessarily shying away from those difficulties. They're showing up for them. They're falling together instead of apart. Masculine and feminine trying to come into partnership right now. This is that wait and see that we're seeing. There is now a moment that both masculine and feminine recognize right now, if they're trying to move into partnership, that it's not that everything is perfect between them right now. It's that there is something that needs to be healed, and it has to require effort and energy. Masculine is healing the possibility of divine union right now with feminine by not only recognizing the accountability on what they need to adjust, but also putting that commitment in what they're going to do. And the problem and the thing with the masculine right now is something about this may even require them to have to cause some friction in some of the karmic energy around them as they effectively articulate to that energy that they are now committed to the divine union. It's that moment of masculine being able to have outside observation to others, that they are committed to an energy that is effectively the pledge that the masculine is now making to the feminine, that is the offer of the divine union. Feminine, you're seeing this right now. You're recognizing this. This is the masculine that's effectively bringing something out into the light of day, bringing something out so that it can be seen by others, and recognizing that even then there might be some disruptions and other energies seeing that, but that's the point of the masculine showing, I am committed to this by being able to articulate it in this way. Feminine and masculine energy in separation right now. This is the feminine energy healing the unhealed karmic energy. This is the feminine energy, again, looking at a situation or circumstance. Thank you for the gift. Even if something is unhealed right now. And again, why is the feminine energy healing this unhealed karmic energy? The feminine energy is telling themselves, this isn't a feminine energy looking at something and being like, how do I fix this? How do I fix this karmic energy? How do I fix this unhealed karmic connection? This is a feminine energy looking at this karmic connection and saying, I gave everything I could to it. I gave everything I absolutely could to it. There's no fixing something unless someone was able to come forward and do it in kind. There's nothing. It's like the feminine being like, I cannot pour into something that is not existent. The only way to heal something at this point would be if someone were able to show, the person on the other side of that unhealed karmic connection were able to arrive and show and understand how to heal this. But again, that would have to come through in an energy being consistent and taking accountability. And this is the feminine energy looking at something and saying, the path from this to that is tremendous. Like, this is the feminine energy almost saying, like, you know, I'm not saying that that might not necessarily come someday, but it's a long time coming. This is not the work. What do we keep seeing? The feminine energy is also healing this connection by going, like, right now, it's like everything they're putting in the book. It's a long time away. This is not the work of a single night. This is not the work of a single day. This is like a complete sea change of a person. This is a complete sea change of an energy. This is the feminine energy saying like the time that it would take. Feminine's like, I'm not saying I won't be available to it, but the feminine's also recognizing and saying like, I'm not going to stick around and wait for it. I'm going to go see if there's new energy that's just ready. Right? That's the feminine saying like, I can't wait forever for an energy to heal or to reach that point of healing. I just need to be available to the new opportunities that are showing me that they are ready. Right? Masculine in separation right now. This is a moment that we are effectively identifying and seeing that again, this is you wanting to implement these changes in your own life right now. And for the masculine energy right now, this could be feeling like a lot of personal, this is going to feel like a lot of a personal journey right now. Potentially looking at a lot of unhealed karmic connections around you at this time to ask yourself, what can you heal? This is almost a masculine looking and feeling like there is this need to take accountability right now, this healing process. And it might even extend, I'm even going to say, this is potentially even extending beyond the point of relationships right now, because what are we seeing right now? We're seeing some inner child work right now on the part of the masculine. This is potentially feeling or looking at right now an assessment of any of the energy that is currently around you right now, masculine, that you feel is in an unhealed place. To effectively ask yourself, have I done everything I can to heal this? Because this is almost now becoming a journey of the self for the masculine to lighten one's own heart and saying in a way, this is almost a masculine now like taking assessment and being like, can I change any of this? Can I adjust any of this? Can I heal any of these unhealed karmic connections? Because too many unhealed karmic connections are leading to this feeling right now of having some of that feeling of like, that point of not necessarily knowing where to go. So this is that point of personal adjustment that is now allowing for this like, and I feel here again, this is almost coming through for a masculine energy and separation right now as like a commitment to yourself on the changes that you are going to implement. And again, you're also recognizing right now that this might not necessarily be the work of a day. This is masculine energy going through some deep healing right now in separation and almost committing and affirming to themselves what they're going to change in their own life to be able to show up better for those around them, to make sure that they're not necessarily continuing to create all of this unhealed karmic energy around them. Because the weight of the unhealed energy is now becoming in a way too much to bear. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Justice card. We love to see these cards together. This is good. This is showing balance through an unhealed karmic connection. Clarification coming through right now. I know I saw someone mention the Emperor in the comments. You guys knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I've been waiting for this card this whole reading. I'm waiting for this card this whole reading. Yeah. What happens? What happens? Masculine energy. What happens when we move into a vibration of looking at the unhealed karmic connections around you, and instead of feeling anger or bitterness, you look to try to create balance? What happens when that occurs? You become a master of your own self. You achieve a sense of self-mastery. You achieve a sense of self-empowerment. Because it's allowing you to show up in this space or place. It's allowing you to take accountability. It's allowing you to move into this vibration of wanting to heal something, of wanting to care for something. The Emperor in its upright is an energy of custodianship, of protection, how to heal something, how to protect something. This is the energy of the masculine looking through the observation of the unhealed karmic connection with a need to restore balance that is first starting with a balance within the self that can then extend to your ability to heal the ones that need healing around you. That is the path. Okay. And that is what we're seeing here. This is that affirmation to the masculine self right now in separation, not necessarily even doing it for others right now, but doing it for the self, recognizing the changes within the self that you need to make that are going to let you feel like you're moving with a sense of strength and integrity going forward. That's the process. Now, masculine and for feminine energy right now, this is a moment that you are clearing your own karmic cycle, because this is the point of confirmation that you're giving yourself, is why you can recover from the unhealed karmic energy, because this is a feminine that is not the fact that the feminine isn't still feeling the weight or the pain of the unhealed energy. What are we seeing that's happening right now with the process of the feminine going through this right now? Feminine has already tried to create balance here. This is a feminine energy that's looking at this and feeling, again, the weight of what they can do, that they feel like they've done everything they can do, versus what is out of their hands. And the reason the feminine energy is conceding and allowing this to be a point of balance is feminine is saying, if the energy that was also a part of this was coming towards me with the same integrity, then it would be able to be healed. This is, again, a feminine energy that's not closing the door in something becoming healed. This is a feminine energy that's saying the hope and aspiration that someone can one day rise to the occasion of standing at that point of integrity, but also recognizing to a certain extent that there's something about it where someone may have the hope for someone to be able to move into that vibration, but not necessarily seeing it in the present moment. But that's why the feminine energy is instead not necessarily holding on and waiting for that energy, because they realize that that is a very long process, but instead is just looking for someone now who's already taken that journey. That's the feminine energy saying, I need to release what is unhealed so that I can allow the energy that is already healed to meet me. That's where the karmic energy is being healed right now. That's why this is becoming a cycle of closure instead of separation for feminine energy and separation right now. Masculine energy and feminine that is trying to move into partnership, feminine is seeing this. Feminine is literally seeing this on the part of the masculine energy, which is why there is faith that this is something that can be healed. Why? Because masculine energy took accountability for what they did. Accountability for past action and affirmation of changes going forward lead to Emperor energy. Accountability and affirmation on what needs to be changed. Feminine energy is seeing the masculine effectively growing into this in partnership right now. It's not the fact for the feminine that it's completely there, because feminine's seeing half of that right now. Feminine's seeing this masculine energy taking accountability. It's now seeing whether masculine will be able to take the steps necessary to show that they do value the divine union. This is why this is something that is continuing to move into healing right now through a space of balance. Masculine, you may be feeling this right now, and it feels potentially like you have to make some hard decisions. But again, the path to self-mastery isn't about doing anything you want whenever you want to do it. It's about self-control. It's about willpower. It's about being able to recognize the difference between what you want versus what is best for you. And this is the moment for the masculine of coming into a point of integrity in terms of recognizing what you are willing to effectively release in order to maintain the balance. And so this is the moment for the masculine where, again, it's more about how you approach these things from a state of transparency to make sure that even as you're trying to basically close some connections right now, you're doing it in a way or in a space that you're standing in your integrity in the process. Masculine and feminine in partnership right now. This is the beauty and the security and the strength that you see in the divine union and the divine partnership. It's not necessarily that everything is perfect all the time. It is a continual effort in trying to find what feels balanced. Masculine right now is, again, working from a point of compromise, Feminine is seeing the fact that masculine does this already as well. And that's why feminine is effectively trying to meet the masculine where they're at, because this is the masculine energy that they recognize. And I need to stress the difference right now between the masculine. This is the masculine energy that isn't going off to do what they want to do. They're expressing their potential disappointment in not being able to do something, which is all the difference, because again, it is trying to bring the feminine energy on board with things that the feminine recognizes is the power of this masculine. It's not that they just go ahead and do things autonomously anyway. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Justice card and the Sun card. We love to see these two together right now. Very important cards today. May I please have one card to clarify? We love this. Fool in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy that's in partnership right now, what we're effectively seeing is, again, different choices lead to different results. It's not the fact that there is a point of perfection. It's a pact of, again, continual readjustment, continual realignment, working together right now in terms of finding that balance point with the affection and the concentration on focusing not just on individual happiness, but what feels like it is bringing happiness for all energy involved, is what's allowing for new approaches. It's allowing for new possibilities to open up. It's allowing for new explorations, and maybe even feeling some uncertainty. But the thing is, it is an informed new direction. It is utilizing the lessons of the past to build upon an experience that feels like it is refining themselves as it goes forward from this point. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into divine union right now. This is what you are effectively learning as well right now, because again, masculine energy right now and feminine are now effectively not feeling like they are oppositional here. You're doing the same thing that the partnership energy is doing. You are looking right now in terms of not what you want to do, but what feels like it is the most balanced for the energy, seeking mutual happiness on the way. And that is leading to, again, new opportunities, doing things in a different way, but learning from the past mistakes, i.e. the divine union cycle. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. Feminine is allowing themselves to go forward right now, and there is reluctance and resistance in doing so. This is not a path that feminine is jumping into wildly. Feminine would have preferred a different path right now, but feminine is giving themselves the point of catharsis and saying, I am doing what I need to do because this is the right thing to do. This is the thing that will create balance. And I'm moving towards my joy. I'm choosing my joy over my sadness. And it's difficult. It's something that is difficult for the feminine because the feminine is moving towards something with a point of resistance and uncertainty about what they will find, but with a commitment to themselves that they're looking for partnerships that feel like they're equal and balanced with a focus on the joy. The same thing that we're saying that the partnered energies have right now. Feminine energy is effectively seeking that for themselves at this moment, which is why they're healing the unhealed karmic energy and continuing forward on their path with the affirmation of knowing that this exists. Masculine, in separation right now. This is you effectively engaging in the adjustments and the changes right now in your own life, but it's requiring a bit more self-exploration, because what we really see right now is there is a moment that you are trying to ask yourself, and it is creating the state or space right now where it could feel like there's a bit of a point right now of having to make some kind of determination, because something about moving towards your joy right now may potentially require some disruption of balance. It's not the fact. What we're seeing here that is creating a bit of a rivet right now for the masculine is it's not the fact that there isn't some point of balance right now in the masculine's own experience. It's more the fact that the masculine is feeling right now that something is lacking that joy. And the masculine is asking themselves right now, not just, what feels balanced, but what is actually going to make the masculine happy. Because again, there's a moment right now of masculine having to face what they need to change, what needs to be kind of taken down to build anew right now, because something around them right now doesn't feel like it is creating that sense of balance because there's something about that joy that's missing. And this is the masculine trying to take those steps and the changes that they need to implement to see how they can bring some joy back into some situations and circumstances, whether that is moving away from something right now that isn't bringing joy, or moving back towards an energy that they're focusing all of their joy on as it relates to their manifestation path right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Pentacles in combination with our Emperor. Two beautiful cards to see in combination right now. May I please have one card to clarify? Knight of Cups in its reversal. Now, for masculine energy in partnership right now, this is very interesting because what we are really identifying right now for the masculine energy that is in partnership has to do with, again, a feeling right now between the heart space and the head space. We are seeing this right now. It's creating a little bit of a point of friction right now because what are we effectively identifying right now? We are effectively identifying that for some of the masculine energy right now, there is a point of observation that is effectively feeling like you are feeling kind of, there's something here that's almost like making you have to, again, and we've been seeing this with the masculine energy over the last few days, having to like tamp down your own emotional desire to a certain extent for the sake of what you're trying to build in the meantime. There's almost a point right now for masculine energy. And again, this is something that's being navigated right now, even in partnership with feminine right now, because there's something here that again needs to be articulated between the difference between where feminine is right now versus where you are, because we're almost seeing right now there could be a feeling of the feminine, you know, there's been a lot of concessions that we're seeing right now based on what the feminine's emotionality have been. We've been seeing that over the last few days with the masculine energy in partnership. One of the things that we feel potentially could be happening right now that feminine needs to be a little mindful of in partnership right now is masculine feeling like they have the same ability and degree to be emotionally expressive to the feminine. Because we're almost seeing here that this is a masculine that's working so hard right now in creating something that feels stable and supportive, that it almost feels like the masculine feels forced to like shelve their own emotional needs right now for the sake of trying to navigate where they're seeing the feminine, because we've seen the feminine going through a lot of different energy over the last few days. This is almost feminine. You may be seeing this right now. This is almost coming through, and I need to warn, it's almost like a bit of stoicism that's happening on the part of the masculine. So feminine, you may want to make sure that you're being a little mindful of the masculine's emotionality here, because the masculine is almost getting like a little stoic here in terms of tamping down their own emotionality, which they might be feeling like they need to do for the short term, but isn't necessarily positive for the long term. Feminine and masculine energy right now that is coming into partnership, this is, again, something that feels like a bit of a personal hurdle for the masculine right now, because, again, this is a moment for the masculine where, again, something about coming into partnership is making you have to withdraw some emotional offers from some spaces and places right now. This could even be reliant upon the fact that the feminine may be asking for some clarification of some partnership energy around you, or some energy that necessarily might not necessarily have the clarity as to where you are. This is almost masculine feeling this like point of having to like withdraw themselves from certain circumstances and situations right now to be able to amplify and confirm to the feminine that they are in fact serious about moving into divine union at this time. Feminine, you may be seeing and experiencing right now and watching to see whether the masculine energy can rise to this challenge, whether they can actually, again, follow through on what they're saying versus what they are affirming right now. Because there's something about this right now that almost requires the masculine to pull back on some connections or to articulate where they are to be able to really focus on the partnership itself. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is the feminine energy effectively going through a process right now. And I feel like this is a bit of a difficulty for the feminine in separation, because this is a feminine energy that is effectively saying to themselves that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether a masculine energy is articulating or expressing their emotionality to feminine. there's almost something here that's very difficult for the feminine journey right now, that's almost requiring the feminine energy to look at something and say, love, emotionality, the expression of emotion, it's not enough. It's almost like coming from the feminine looking at like, this is almost the feminine looking at love in a different way right now, and being like, it's very easy for an energy to articulate that they care. It's very easy for an energy to say that they care without seeing it, without seeing the result of what that care actually looks like in a tangible way. It just is words. And that's really what the feminine is amplifying to themselves right now, especially as they continue to heal and close this old karmic cycle. Because even while they may still be feeling emotionality towards some energy, they're almost reaffirming to themselves that the connection that they feel emotionally or spiritually is not important. Because without the tangibility of it, without the energy coming forward in some supportive way that is protective, then it doesn't necessarily actually look like love. It just feels like love, but that does not necessarily look like love. And that's what the feminine is effectively saying. The tangible expression of someone's articulation of feeling is the valuable point for the feminine to recognize the difference between an energy that they can feel energetically cares about them versus lacks the ability to actually make it something that is tangible or sovereign in the reality that they're experiencing. Masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy right now that is moving in separation. This is something that you're realizing on your own right now. This could be a moment that you're even potentially feeling a point where you're seeing some kind of expression from feminine right now that may have led to you experiencing or seeing the fact that this is a feminine energy that either isn't necessarily here to hear about how you feel, or that your emotional entities right now aren't necessarily going to be received, because there's something about the fact that you're recognizing the difference in terms of what you say versus what you do. This could almost be the masculine energy looking and recognizing the disparity between what they were effectively, maybe even not even emotionally communicating to feminine. This could be a masculine energy that may even be recognizing their own inability to really articulate how they feel, but also recognizing that in the space or place of not recognizing or articulating how they feel, there needs to be something that actually shows a level or degree of tangibility and consistency as it relates to the expression of that energy. This is a masculine energy that's almost like learning right now. Again, for some of the masculine energy right now, this is going to feel like it's hitting a few different points. This is either a masculine that's regretting not being able to articulate how they feel to someone, or this is a masculine energy that is feeling like the articulation isn't enough. There's something about being able to be consistent, to show up, to stay through difficult things that is also coming through right now. This is like the amplification of masculine that is helping them recognize what you need to change right now. Again, either as you move forward right now towards new partnership possibilities, as you learn from these experiences that are now creating these unhealed karmic connections, or as you want to make some adjustments to be able to move back towards this energy so that you can heal the unhealed karmic connection. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Emperor energy in combination with our Fool in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming right now with our Nine of Cups in its reversal. So for all of the energy right now, everybody's having a little bit of problem today, like communicating. I got to stress that. Communication might be a little bit difficult today. Especially for feminine, I need to stress. There's something about the feminine holding back a bit on communication today. Feminine and masculine that's in partnership right now. There is this moment that, and I need to stress, this is coming through from the fact that right now we're seeing that, again, even in partnership right now, There's a direction that masculine wants to move into right now. There's a direction that feminine wants to move into right now. They're not exactly perfect. They're close, but they're not perfect. Masculine energy right now is almost like utilizing a lot of willpower, is what we're really seeing. And what we appreciate about the masculine energy in this modality right now, as it relates to being in divine union and partnership, is the fact that there's something very different between having something that feels like an immediate point of satisfaction versus like that long-term point of satisfaction. And this is almost a masculine energy that, again, is making some point of concession today, potentially even for the feminine, with a recognition that like being able to move forward in this way is like something that feels like it is slow. These are like the difference between making like slow changes right now versus getting everything that you desire all at once. You know, even for the energy right now in partnership, there is that moment. For feminine, it is the same way right now. There's something we're also seeing here, because again, this is that energy or that feeling of compromise that's effectively coming into play right now, even in the partnered energies. Both energies are necessarily making some modifications to find that place between that is going to find like joint happiness. Both energies are somewhat dissatisfied with the resolution point, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. It almost shows that that is why it is the right point to go forward on, because neither energy is completely conceding to the other. You're finding that space in between through which you both feel somewhat satisfied, but also somewhat dissatisfied. That's good. That's a good feeling. Masculine and feminine energy that's trying to come into partnership right now, that's effectively the new energy that you're navigating. That's like the new territory you're navigating right now. Something that potentially feels bittersweet. Something you have to do on the part of the partnership that isn't necessarily exactly what you would want to do, but that you're willing to do for the partnership. Okay? So that's like what that welcome to divine union. That's what you're doing. That's what divine union does. Masculine and feminine in separation. Feminine, this is the feminine energy effectively reminding themselves right now. This is almost a feminine energy saying, to a certain extent, they're focusing. Feminine is focusing on the manifestation of a masculine energy that has learned these lessons, that stands in their integrity in this way. And feminine affirming to themselves that an energy that is standing in this way would not hold back from the feminine. They would not hide things from the feminine. Feminine's even looking potentially at some of this past energy. Any resistance from expressing themselves, any resistance in telling them all the optics in terms of what's going on in their life. This is the feminine saying, I am rejecting anything that does not show its full, does not put all of its cards on the table. I'm rejecting anything that does not stand in their integrity when they meet me. And feminine is effectively going on that journey. And that is the manifestation goal for the feminine right now, being like, I'm only allowing masculine energy in that shows the strength in being able to be completely in their integrity, as difficult as that may be. Masculine energy right now that is in separation, this is that moment that we see that you are learning this for yourself at this time. It is coming through an observation right now of spaces and places where you're now looking and saying, I could have done better. I was not completely forthright. I was not in a space or place that I did the thing that I should have done. I did the thing that was easy. I did the thing that was more moving from fear than from authenticity. This is that affirmation to the self right now, that regardless of whether you're moving back towards an energy to try to heal something right now, or utilizing these lessons so that you don't repeat these cycles, this is a promise to the self right now that you're making as you embark forward on your journey. Final card for today's spread between our Knight of Cups in its reversal and our Nine of Cups in its reversal. Heavy energy right now for the masculine. What did I say? Time is on the side of the partnered energies. Why is the masculine energy at a moment right now where they're being a little bit more stoic? Because masculine energy is recognizing the difference between something that would immediately give them gratification versus something that will give them much more gratification in the long term. All right, this is a masculine energy. Again, the power and the beauty of an emperor is an emperor doesn't need to chase after an immediate point of gratification like a page of cups, because it is recognizing the importance of being able to abstain for a greater reward. This is the masculine recognizing the power of divine union and willing to make some immediate concessions for the sake of getting something that is much more robust in the long term. Okay? That's why the masculine energy right now in partnership is embodying that emperor energy and is willing to take those momentary setbacks or feeling like they have to compromise on something right now for the sake of the greater whole that is the divine union and partnership. Feminine energy, you are seeing a masculine energy with this ability. You are seeing a masculine energy right now that, again, isn't necessarily always able to move and do the things that they would desire to do, maybe even articulate on them. You may even be feeling like this energy is a little bit more closed off today emotionally, because again, there's almost something here that they're holding back on right now, being able to try to like work at a point of concession for you right now. But it is recognizing the supportive environment that this energy makes in terms of leaving that space, leaving that place of sacrificing immediate personal comfort for the sake of the partnership itself, that further affirms to you that this is a type of energy that you actually like. I'm almost like, it almost creates the opposite effect for feminine. Seeing masculine do that almost makes feminine feel validated in over giving to this energy, being like, whatever you want, because it's almost creating the opposite vibration of seeing someone who's willing to sacrifice like that creates the battery of feminine being like, your ability to sacrifice makes me want to overgive. See how those 2 points connect? See that? It's a nice connection point, right? Okay, good. So that works out. And the long term, again, the balance comes in the long term. Mutual joy. Making something extend and last. What creates that? Masculine and feminine right now that is working to come into divine union and divine partnership at this moment. What we are effectively seeing is you are also learning how to do this. You are also learning the importance of, again, for masculine, there could be a moment right now that you are feeling like something's a bit of an emotional setback for a minute. There's something here that is not necessarily exactly what you would desire to do, and you're effectively even kind of holding back on that right now. But again, you are seeing the value of the long-term benefit. You're recognizing that it is a small sacrifice for a much better thing in the long term. And that is that point of optics, because again, you're not just moving right now in a space or place of personal immediate gratification and pleasure, but you are thinking about the long-term preservation of what you are creating, and you are making changes for the sake of the divine union. Hence coming into divine union. Feminine, you're seeing a masculine that is trying to do this. This is affirming to you that that divine union is potentially possible, though feminine's taking more of a wait and see approach to see if masculine is able to continue to move forward in this capacity. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is no longer a separation cycle for feminine. This is a feminine that is effectively saying to a certain extent that there's something here, again, that they're not necessarily, this is a feminine energy that's still feeling there is some kind of connection to masculine, but it doesn't matter. Because this is almost a feminine energy that's just taking that and saying this is an energy that doesn't show the emotional consistency of their offer, and they don't open up fully to them. This is a feminine almost looking and saying this energy never actually articulated how they felt. This energy never actually told me everything that was going on with them. This is an energy that was never expressing and as available to me as I was to it. And this is why the feminine energy is effectively saying, I don't know if that day will ever come, but I'm certainly not waiting for it, because this is a feminine that almost says like literally, like, God bless you, like whatever you need. Like, if you need to be in that vibration, I can't change that. You could be like that forever. This is the feminine almost, again, feeling like this isn't something that they just experienced. This is the feminine energy looking at that and saying that energy is going to be like that indefinitely. You know, that there's almost something here that the feminine's like, time will tell if they can change, but they're certainly not there yet. And that's why the feminine is thinking a lot about time right now and putting that time into being able to find someone that is able to meet that role now, sooner rather than later. Masculine energy right now that is in this moment, this is a moment that you are doing a lot of self-assessment right now. This could be a lot of internal work right now for masculine as you affect it. This could even be a masculine saying like needing to take some time for yourself at this moment, because it's almost creating a state or space right now if you're in separation where you're recognizing your own problems with withholding, your own problems with being able to emotionally express right now. And you're potentially even looking right now and trying to ask yourself, what do you need to change? What can you accommodate? How can you start to put the work in to navigate these things? Because you're almost recognizing that this is something that's going to take a long time. It's not something that changes overnight. It's something that once it's observed, you can start to put the energy and effort in correcting. Observation is key. Recognition is key. That's the first step. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Seven of Wands. So for masculine and feminine, for everybody right now, there could be this feeling right now that feels it's like a bit of a challenge point. You know, there's almost this need right now, and I feel like that's a bit of the problem right now, because even for the energies in partnership, there's a bit of a disparity in terms of how the feminine and masculine wants to move right now. And it's the desire or need not to, like, I feel like there's something here where they're both effectively asking for something that they feel like they don't want to, like, have to argue for. You know what I mean? It's almost like coming into a point of immediate concession. Nobody's in the mood right now to, like, have these kind of, like, battles that they feel like they're pushing against. It's almost like looking for, like, that point of easement. But it's also feeling a little, I got to stress, everybody's feeling a little defensive today. So everyone needs to be a little bit conscientious of that. Feminine and masculine in partnership, very much so. Because there is something here that does feel, even in like the partnership energy right now, that disparity may lead to some feelings that could feel a little confrontational at times. Masculine and feminine energy trying to come into partnership, there's a feeling of defensiveness right now that needs to be very carefully navigated, because again, these are new changes. Feminine's trying to let go of the past. Masculine is being asked to do something very difficult, which is like make some adjustments in some of the energy around them to articulate like their own space. So for both energies right now, this could articulate or amplify as like a bit of defensiveness. Feminine energy in separation, this is feminine energy really feeling defensive. This could even be some of that articulation. While feminine's trying to let something go right now, there is a feeling right now of some hostility about what they're letting go, because it could rise to some anger coming through. Even in recognizing that someone wasn't ready, the fact of some frustration of feeling like that was the case is almost creating this point for feminine where they may still be feeling very defensive. And for masculine in separation right now, this is this moment that you're feeling this point of, like, it could be feeling kind of a moment right now for masculine in separation, and it almost feels like the whole world's against you. Because again, I'm just seeing that there's a lot of energy around unhealed karmics right now, arising right now around the masculine and separation, that it is taking a point. Say that the whole feed shuts down. So sorry to keep you hanging. So as I was saying, while the masculine energy right now, it wasn't froze, the app crashed. While the masculine energy could be having this feeling right now that almost feels to a certain extent like the world is out against you right now, it is requiring this point of self-assessment, but it could be creating some feelings of defensiveness as you experience some of these feelings right now. So you could find yourself feeling very prickly today as you're navigating some of this, because again, it's almost like the determination And I need to stress this. Right? We're seeing an energy right now with masculine and separation where there's almost like a need to tear things down right now quickly versus, again, asking like what you're actually doing with intentionality. So I think right now the reactivity of a masculine wanting to kind of tear, like remember that like block knocking moment I talked about? Like that block knocking moment, the urge to do that right now, to like almost be like, I really want you to make sure right now, masculine energy, if you're in separation, to avoid something that you could be feeling like a restart that is actually feeling more like a point of self-sabotage is really important right now, because we almost see that there's that feeling right now of almost wanting to kind of like knock something down right now because of your own internal frustration. So just be a little mindful of that feeling today. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Please keep in mind, when you book a private reading, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for having this reading with me today, and we will do this again tomorrow.